And we're underway with the men's distance medley relay.
St. Joseph's, Penn, Ryder, Rowan, and Jefferson.
So Rowan and Jefferson
and right after the early lead, that is Villanova.
And the D1
Again, this is the
scholarship schools, Villanova, St. Joseph's, Penn,
400 meters,
and
800
Ryder.
meters, and the anchor 1600.
And Brandon, you spoke earlier about the 1200 being possibly characterized as an 800 with an extra lap. And right now these 6 athletes are looking more like milers out there, even looking back a little bit to see if all 6 are still there.
Yeah, and that, I guess, goes to show that they're focused on winning and not necessarily maximizing the speed of this race. Ackerman in on the rail, Walker, the 2 seed, he's in a comfortable position, right? He's outside hip of lane 1. He's not doing any of the work. He's ready to move up, but you see them bunching up in the back, out in the outside of lane 2, Ryder in the mix. And we'll really see this get going probably with a lap to go in this leg. And then that change of speed when we get to the 400, those guys won't hold back. And then we'll see if they'll clump up again in the 8 and then the 16.
So 65 and change through the opening 400 meters as things have started to head toward a single file formation, but still in front.
That's Nicholas Ackerman
Villanova.
Running for Villanova.
St. Joe's on the shoulder, Ryder and Penn, 3 and 4. Jeffrey Stewart for Rowan. And the tempo, the arm swing has definitely picked up.
Yeah, that's 31, 32 in that next 200. So still not as fast as these guys can go, but a lot quicker than where we were 35 or so on that first 200. And I'd expect the pace to continue to build.
And you see now the distance between first and 6th is now over 20 meters as Villanova is cranking up the tempo. They open in 65, they add a 59. Casey Comber on the baton for Villanova.
This is a 1200 meter leg.
Comber leads by 5 as St. Joe's and Penn 2nd and 3rd. But they're chasing Casey Comber down the back straightaway.
Coach Chris has a message for Danny Cogalosa.
200 to go in this opening 12, and about 10 meters and growing for Casey Comber.
This guy's gone under 4 before in the mile, 232 through 1K. That's not much for him. I think he's gonna have more juice to go as he looks to the 400 leg. If you're Walker with St. Joe's, you gotta hold on to Penn at least. You gotta keep that gap close.
The gap between first and second about 12 meters at the baton exchange, 257 through 1200. They went open in 65 and really ratcheted it up as we're in the speed zone, 400 meters on the track in this distance medley.
I had Nova's second 2 laps, the final 800 at 152.4. Unofficial, but that is moving. You'd love to have that as your open time. They did it after that Jog Fest first lap.
The advantage between first and second is stretched a little bit. It's pushing 15 to 20 meters now. Still Villanova, then Penn, then St. Joe's, 1, 2, 3.
3:19:39.
Richard Bush on the baton, and he's losing some of that advantage down the last 100 meters, but Nova will still be in front. So about a 48-second quarter for Villanova. They will lead into the 800. But again, you talked about the field bunching up, and it looks like we're going to get this here going into the 800.
Yeah, Penn and St. Joe's are going to have to give a little extra on this first lap to close the gap. Can Villanova stay within themselves and know in that second lap, those guys had to work a little bit harder to get up to me, and then I need to separate again.
So still to run, Charlie Donovan for Villanova, but on the stick right now at 800 meters, Sean Dolwyn.
And you can see St. Joe's took that stick out of the gate fast, trying to close the gap, and he just couldn't do it. And now he's sliding back. Penn still in the mix. This is a big second lap to keep that 1600 leg close. If the gap is where it's now, it's anybody's game with the 1600.
10 meters between first and second. Villanova, then Penn, and St. Joe's in third.
And Campbell St. Joe's not giving up. He's still in striking distance. He's still close, but Villanova really starting to ratchet it up now around that turn into the straightaway, looking very strong as Donovan.
Up about 15 meters, Sean Dolan from Villanova. Make that 20 as he has 200 to go in his 800-meter leg. The third runner on the track in this 4,000-meter distance medley relay, and that gap has grown now to 25. As Villanova, the home of so many great middle distance runners, has slowly pulled away from this field. The final leg coming up 1,600 meters to run in the distance medley relay. 5:35 with 4 laps to go.
About 150 on that 800-meter split for Villanova, and they got bunched up on the baton exchange. He could have been under. Very strong running from the lead.
And again, a race of 4,000 meters, you wouldn't think there'd be that many opportunities to bunch up like you're in traffic on the expressway, but it definitely happens, and that just adds to the excitement as far as I'm concerned in this race. But Villanova is trying to take all the punch out of this fight, as they are now leading by almost 40 meters. The Wildcats, Charlie Donovan, running the anchor.
Came through about 57, 58 through 400 meters. He's gone under 4 in the mile before.
And he's looking to duplicate that over 1,600 meters. And you see his coach just saying, settle down, settle down, we're good.
Back on the track, it's Villanova University.
The worst thing you can do in this position with this big lead, and we saw that first leg run strategically, so the win is probably in their heads. The worst thing you can do is go out way too strong, hit that threshold, just crumble, and just completely fall apart and give them a chance to get back in the race. You want to run these next 2 laps within your self-control, not saying you purposely slow down, but within yourself, and just to make sure you have that little extra push to finish it off in the last 200 or 300 meters.
And you spoke at the beginning about the relatively slow pace of the 1,200-meter opening lap of 65. Then Mr. Donovan goes out in 57, and that's why he was admonished a little bit by his head coach. It's like, just relax.
You can get excited when you see that daylight that your teammates are giving you, and you don't want to be the one to let anybody back in the race, right? Clear track, he just went for it. But now, like you said, settling in a little bit. You see grimace a little bit, yep. This is the tough part. This is lap 3, but he's still looking strong. And a race for second place with St. Joe's and Penn still right up on each other. But it's going to be tough to catch the white jerseys.
Charlie O'Donovan.
So Charlie O'Donovan,
second between Penn and St. Joseph's. And St. Joseph's now
he will get
second place at the moment.
the gun for 1 lap remaining when he hits the common start-finish line. Here inside Franklin Field, and they're putting one of the teams in this 16 field a lap down, as Villanova showing their depth and strength.
Now the bell lap for Villanova.
About 3 minutes.
Donovan with 1 lap to go.
So the opportunity for a sub-4 over 1,600
St.
meters.
Joseph's, Penn.
So Marcus O'Sullivan, the head coach of Villanova, shouting out instructions with just about 300 meters to go for Charlie O'Donovan, his anchor runner in this distance medley relay.
And you can see back there on the straightaways, Mishon, he's pulled into a big lead for second place. A guy who's run 3:44 across 1,500 meters already this season. He was buying his time right behind Penn and made his big move here with about 400 to go and opening up another big lead.
And Charlie O'Donovan took a quick look over his inside shoulder just to see if he was losing any of that advantage as he nears the finish line. And a pretty good guestimate, I would say,
St.
by
Joseph's.
Marcus O'Sullivan. Put down a
Villanova,
9:35 seed time.
9:38.81, 4:02.
Officially, Villanova
42
covers the 4,000
for
distance
Charlie
at
O'Donovan.
9:38.81. And
St.
almost a
Joseph's
6-second edge over St. Joe's.
9:44.51.
Some strong running all around from those top three teams. About 4:02 for the 1600 leg for O'Donovan, so it went out pretty fast. Pulled it back in a little bit, but they have to be happy with that result. St. Joe's, some strong running in the middle of the race as well, and Penn right in the mix too. So you can see how the speeds changed as the distances change in that event. But it makes for some interesting strategy as well as just strength that you need to get through those middle distances.
And looking at those splits for the winning Wildcats, went out in a 2:58.1200, came back with a 48-second 400 carry by Richard Bush, then a 1:49.7 by Sean Dolan, and then finally Charlie O'Donovan closed it out with his 4:02 carry for 9:38.81.